The termination list had 14 names on it when Daniel Holt checked into the Alderton Hotel at 7:43 on a Tuesday morning under a name that was not his own. He had done this before. It was, in his experience, the only reliable way to see a property as it actually was, rather than as it had been prepared to appear. Hotels were expert at preparation. They were less expert, when no one was looking, at being what they claimed to be. He had purchased the Alderton 6 weeks ago as part of a portfolio acquisition, a mid-tier property in a mid-sized city with declining margins, an aging physical plant, and a staff roster that his operations director had described, charitably, as overstaffed for a property of this revenue profile. The list was the result of 3 weeks of payroll analysis. It was, on paper, clean and efficient and correct. He had come to walk the floors before he sent it. He had told no one he was coming. He had told no one what he looked like. He checked in as a Mr. David Heller, reserved the room himself through a third-party booking platform, and by 8 o'clock, he was in the elevator with his portfolio under his arm, going to the 4th floor. The 4th floor hallway smelled like fresh linen and something faintly floral, real, not artificial. The carpet was clean. The wall sconces were all working. A housekeeping cart was parked outside room 412, fully stocked and organized with a precision that was not standard. Cleaning supplies grouped by function, fresh towels folded in thirds rather than the industry-standard half-fold. A small handwritten checklist clipped to the cart's side rail. He stopped and looked at it. The checklist was not from the hotel. It was her own. It had 19 items on it, and the first 6 were already checked. He had almost moved on. He had almost continued down the corridor to the rooms he'd marked for inspection. He stood in front of that cart for 11 seconds, he counted, later, when he tried to explain it to himself, and then he pushed open the door to room 412. Nobody had told him about the man in room 412. Before we continue, if you believe that a person's true character is not what they show the world, but what they do when the world has stopped watching, please like this video, subscribe to Kindness Tales, and share this with someone who needs to believe in people again today. His name was Clarence. He was 71 years old, and he had been in room 412 for 11 days recovering from a hip replacement surgery. Discharged from the hospital to the hotel because the apartment he lived in had 3 flights of stairs and no elevator, and his surgeon had said flatly that he could not go home yet. His emergency contact line on the hotel registration form said, "None." He had paid for the room with a credit card that had been carrying a balance for 8 months. Rosa had been assigned to room 412 on the second morning of Clarence's stay. She had come in at her usual time, 8:15, cart fully stocked, and found him sitting on the edge of the bed in his hospital gown, trying to reach his socks, which had fallen to the floor in the night. He could not bend. He was not going to be able to reach them. She had picked up the socks. She had helped him put them on. She had not noted it in the hotel's guest services log because it was not in the hotel's guest services log. It was not in her job description, and it did not occur to her that it required documentation. Over the next 9 days, she had done other things that were not in her job description. She had spoken to the hotel kitchen, not through formal channels, through Maria, who worked the morning prep shift and had known Rosa for 11 years, and arranged for Clarence's breakfast tray to include a second cup of coffee and a piece of fruit, because he had mentioned once that he used to have grapefruit every morning before all of this. She had found a television remote with larger buttons from the hotel's Lost and Found, because the room's standard remote had print too small for him to read. She had moved his reading chair 3 feet to the left, toward the window, after he said he liked the light but couldn't get there himself. None of these things appeared in any hotel record. She had done them because they were the right things to do, and because she had been raised in a house where the right thing and the necessary thing were treated as synonymous, and she had not stopped treating them that way in 54 years. On the morning Daniel Holt pushed open the door to room 412, this is what he saw. Rosa, pale gray uniform dress, white collar, gold cross at her throat, silver-streaked dark hair in its low bun, was sitting in the chair beside Clarence's bed, not cleaning, sitting. She had her housekeeping cart outside and a room to finish and 3 more rooms after that, and she was sitting in the chair beside the bed of a 71-year-old man who had no one listed as his emergency contact, reading to him. Not from the hotel's guest services menu, from a novel, a worn paperback she had apparently brought from her own bag, her voice low and unhurried, the way you read to someone when you want them to feel the weight of nothing for a few minutes. Clarence had his eyes closed. He was not asleep. His face had the specific expression of someone receiving something they had not known they needed. Daniel stood in the doorway. Rosa did not hear him. The door had opened silently. The Alderton's 4th-floor doors were well maintained, one of the things his walk had already confirmed, and she was reading, and Clarence's eyes were closed, and the room was quiet in the way rooms are quiet when something careful is happening inside them. He stood there for 47 seconds. He was not a sentimental man. He had purchased and restructured 23 hotel properties in 14 years. He had signed a great many termination lists. He had learned, because the business required it, to assess human behavior in terms of what it cost and what it produced. And he was good at that assessment. And he had believed, until 47 seconds ago, that he was not missing anything important by doing it that way. He was looking at something that did not fit the assessment. He was looking at a woman who was 1 hour into a workday that would end in 8 hours, with no supervisor present and no camera visible and no record being kept, choosing to spend a portion of that time giving a lonely old man something that no hotel service menu had ever thought to offer. Not because it was her job, because it was, in whatever calculus she used to navigate the world, the right thing. He stepped back from the doorway. He let the door close silently. He stood in the hallway beside her cart and looked at the handwritten checklist clipped to its rail. 19 items, 6 checked. The handwriting was careful and even, the list of someone who had long ago decided that the work was worth doing correctly. He opened his leather portfolio. He found the termination list. He looked at the last name on it. Rosa Mendez, 19 years of service, flagged for elimination under the efficiency restructuring as a high-tenure, high-cost position replaceable at lower salary. He stood in the 4th-floor hallway of his own hotel and did something he had not done in the middle of a business decision in a very long time. He put the list away without signing it. He did not do this because he was sentimental. He did this because he had spent 14 years trying to identify what made a property worth owning, what separated a hotel that guests returned to from one that they forgot. And he had, in 47 seconds, just watched it happen in real time. It was not the fresh linen. It was not the well-maintained doors. It was a woman in a gray uniform reading a paperback to a man with no emergency contact, on her own time, in a room she still had to finish before 9:30. He did not go back into room 412. He went to the end of the corridor and stood at the window and looked at the city below for a while. When Rosa came out of the room 40 minutes later, she found an envelope on top of her cart. It was a plain hotel envelope, unsealed. Inside was a handwritten note on a sheet of the hotel's letterhead, and it said, "I came today to make cuts. I watched you for 47 seconds through an open door. I am not making the cut I came to make. I don't know your name yet. I will by this afternoon. The new owner." Rosa read it twice. She put it back in the envelope. She put the envelope in her uniform pocket, beside the folded photograph of her daughter's graduation. She stood in the hallway for a moment. Then she finished her checklist. The meeting between Rosa and Daniel happened that afternoon in the hotel manager's office, which was the first time the hotel manager, a man named Frank, learned that the new owner had been on the premises since 8 o'clock. Frank had the expression of a man doing significant internal recalibration, which Daniel noted and did not comment on. He asked Rosa about Clarence. She answered directly and without apology what she had done, why she had done it, that none of it was in the guest services manual, and she understood that. He asked how long she had been doing things like that. She thought about it. She said, 19 years. but the things change depending on who needs what. He asked her what she thought the hotel was for. She looked at him with her steady, dark eyes for a moment, the look of someone deciding whether the question is sincere. She said, "A place to feel taken care of, even when you're far from home, even when there's nobody on your emergency contact list." He was quiet. She said, "That's not in any manual I've read either." He said, "No, it isn't." He did not make her the hotel manager. Frank kept his position, and Rosa did not want Frank's position, which she said clearly and without ambiguity. What she wanted, she said, was for the hotel to hire one additional housekeeper for the 4th floor so that she had 20 minutes per shift that could be used for guests who needed something the manual didn't cover. Not always. Not for every guest. Just for the ones where you could tell. He asked how she could tell. She said, "You can always tell." He approved the additional hire. He also quietly restructured 3 of the other 14 terminations on his list before he left the property that afternoon, after walking every floor twice and writing notes in his leather portfolio that his operations director would later describe as the most specific set of guest experience observations she had read in 15 years of working with hotel owners. Clarence checked out of room 412 12 days later. He left a card at the front desk addressed to the housekeeper on the 4th floor. It said, in handwriting that was large and slightly unsteady, "Thank you for the grapefruit, and for the chapter about the sea. I hadn't been anywhere in a long time." Rosa read it on her break, sitting in the staff room with her coffee. She folded it carefully. She put it in her pocket beside the graduation photograph and the hotel envelope. She went back to work. The 4th floor hallway smelled like fresh linen. The cart was fully stocked. The checklist had 3 items left. She started with the first one. If this story moved you, please like this video, leave a comment, and share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Subscribe to Kindness Tales for more stories of courage, grace, and the small human decisions that turn out to matter more than anyone knew. And tell us in the comments, have you ever been seen at exactly the right moment by exactly the right person?